then it's like the verbal tense.
Okay, we are talking about present simple, and you are saying that this is one of the verbal tenses. Okay, yeah, of course it is one of the verbal tenses. What else? For example, let me check. Pachito, what do you remember of present simple? What is that?
I don't remember so well, but it's
So you don't remember present simple, don't worry. Okay, let's try with Sophie. What do you remember of this? What is present simple, Sophie? No? Nothing? Okay, then let's go with Juan Pablo. What do you remember of present simple? What is that? What do you remember of that?
I remember que el tema, pero no me acuerdo cómo, o sea, qué era.
Okay,
No sé, no me acuerdo.
don't forget to use English. Okay, but you say I remember the topic, I don't remember what is it about. That's confusing.
Sé que existe, pero no sé
Oh,
qué.
teacher, I know that this exists in the world. Okay, don't worry. We are going to talk about it. And finally, let me see if maybe someone else remember this. What about Vero? Do you remember something of present simple? What is that? Vero, any idea?
I don't remember.
Oh no. Okay. So as you don't remember what is present simple today, we are going to learn together what is this. And I hope that you don't forget this never again in your life, okay? Don't forget, babies, to take notes. Please organize notes. I don't want awful notes because then you are not going to understand. When we talk about present simple, babies, is a verbal tense or is something that we use to talk about the present. What is the meaning of present? What is that word?
Presente.
Presente, perfect. So today we are going to check how can we talk about present, okay? But present like in specific situations. For example, we can use present simple to talk about habits, to talk about a general truth, to talk about short actions, and so on. The idea is that we are going to check one by one each of the uses. Then we are going to talk a bit about the structure, a bit about the use of verb to be in present simple, and finally we are going to have a short practice. Okay, so let's go. The first use that we have when we talk about present simple, the first thing that we need to know is that we use it to talk about habits. Usamos el presente simple para hablar de hábitos. So we are going to check what is this. Samu, can you please help me reading this slide? Okay, Samu, I guess that your microphone is not working yet. But don't worry, just stay here with me and pay attention to the class, and then we will check what to do with your microphone. Thank you, baby. So, as Samu's microphone is super awful, Sari, are you there, baby?
Yes, miss.
Okay, princess, can you please help me reading this first slide, habits?
Habits. Present simple is used to express an action that happens again and again. Habits or things that we the regularly.
Very good. So, we use the present simple, babies, as I was telling you, to express an action that happens over and over and over again. Something that we usually do, algo que hacemos usualmente, algo que repetimos constantemente, hábitos. So, let's check these examples. Sari, can you please continue? Go with the first one.
Okay, miss. I go to work by car.
The next one.
He drinks 6 cups of coffee a day.
Okay, and the next one.
I wash my hair twice a week.
Perfect. So guys, if you realize we are talking about habits. For example, let's think about your family, maybe your parents, someone you know, and that person has a car. So possibly that person goes to work by car, by using car. That is something usual. Or for example, someone who really likes coffee. You can say she drinks 6 cups of coffee a day. This is something usual. This is something normal in that life. I wash my hair twice a week. So when you wash your hair, when you go and take a shower, because there are some people who wash their hair like every single day, and there are some others who doesn't. Okay, so we have one of the most used examples in present simple, and is this one to talk about a daily routine. I wake up at 8 a.m. every day. What is the meaning of every day? What is this word?
Todos los días.
Todos los días. I wake up at 8 a.m. every day. Something that you do usually. Okay? Every day is a frequency adverb. Un adverbio de frecuencia, una palabra que utilizamos para mostrar qué tan frecuentemente haces algo. So, this is one of those frequency adverbs. My dears, first use habits. Do you have any question about this up to this point? Okay, keep it in mind and take notes. Don't forget that at the end we usually check the things that we learn. So first use habit. But there is another way to use present simple. There is another use. Before checking that other use, we are going to talk about frequency adverbs. What did I tell you that is that? A frequency adverb, a word that what?
Los, los estos que usamos a diario. Los...
Yeah, those are words, frequency adverbs, son palabras que utilizas para expresar qué tan frecuentemente haces algo, qué tan frecuentemente sucede algo, okay? So, we use some adverbs to describe how frequently we do an activity. So, look at this chart. In this chart you are going to find the normal, the usual frequency adverbs and the frequency that those adverbs represent. For example, if you say, always, what is the meaning of always? I always go to bed before 11 p.m.
Siempre.
Siempre. So 100%, that's something that you always do no matter what. Very good. What is the meaning of usually? What about this one? Usualmente. So that's something that you do, not like in 100% of frequency, but in a 90%. So 90%, I usually have cereal for breakfast. Maybe I have breakfast on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but on Friday I eat something different. Okay, let's go with the next one. What is the meaning of normally or generally? Normally, what is this? Normalmente and generally. Generalmente. Normalmente, generalmente. I normally go to the gym. It is not something that I do every day, but it's something that I do in a general way, okay? Usually, something like that. 80%. What about often? Frequently. What is this? What is the meaning of frequently? What do you understand? Tell me, baby. Okay, like often is like común, seguido, seguidamente, frecuentemente, okay? I often surf the internet. So a 70% of frequency. Please take notes of these words. Sometimes. What is the meaning of sometimes? What is that?
A veces.
A veces. Sometimes. I sometimes forgot my wife's birthday. So it's a 50% of frequency, something that you do, for example, 15 days of the month, and the other 15 days you don't do it. So 50%. Occasionally, what is the meaning of that one? Occasionally, what is that?
Ocasionalmente.
Ocasionalmente, perfect. So I occasionally eat junk food. That's a 30% of possibility. That is something that you do, but it's not that common. Seldom. What did you imagine? If we have a 10% of chances to do it, what is the meaning of seldom? What is that? No? So, raramente, no es tan común. So, I seldom read the newspaper. It's super weird when I do it. 10%. Hardly ever or
¿Qué
rarely.
significa?
Tell me, baby.
¿Qué significa?
What is the meaning? Don't forget English. Raramente. Like, I don't really do it. So, then we have hardly ever, like casi nunca, or rarely, raramente. This is a synonym of seldom. I hardly ever drink alcohol, for example. Like, never. And 0% is never. So, what is the meaning of never? What is that?
Nunca.
Nunca. Very good. So, I never swim in the sea. Never, never, never. Okay? Now, my dears, when you use these frequency adverbs in present simple, guys, you usually do it like this. You can use the subject plus the adverb plus the main verb. So, I always eat pizza on Sundays. He is always happy. You have like two ways to do it. But this is the most common one. You have to put the frequency between the subject and the main verb. Cuando los tengan, cuando los encuentren, usualmente los van a tener entre el sujeto y el verbo principal. I never eat pizza. I sometimes eat pizza or something like that, okay? But we are going to continue. Questions up to this point, babies? Questions about frequency adverbs? Frequency adverbs is something that is going to help you a lot to recognize present simple. Si tú ves un adverbio de frecuencia, usualmente tienes un presente simple por ahí. Entonces van a ser como unas palabritas claves que te van a ayudar a distinguir este tiempo verbal, ¿ok? No siempre lo vas a tener, no es que todo lo que tienes en presente simple lo tengas con adverbios, no. Pero pues si los encuentras, vas a identificarlo y también puedes usarlos para darle un poquito más de fuerza a lo que dices. Let's continue now. Let's go with the second use. The second use of present simple is to talk about a general truth. What is a general truth? What is that? We are going to read this text to know it. So, Nicolás, can you please help me reading this part? ¿Me ayudas a leer este pedacito, Nico, porfa? Go ahead, Nico. Nico? Okay, Nico is not answering, but let's go with Juan Pablo. Baby, can you please help me reading this part?
Okay, miss.
So, go
We
ahead.
use general truth. ¿Cómo se dice, miss?
Truth.
Or truth.
Truth. Don't forget that when you have a th at the end or at something, it sounds like an f, like so. Truth.
Truth?
Yeah.
Okay. We use the present simple when something is generally as always true. People need food. It snows in
In winter.
Sorry. In winter, I pensé que decía minus por in winter here, 2 and 2 makes 4. Messi comes from Argentina. Some birds my south in winter.
Fly south in winter.
Fly south in winter. Sorry.
Okay, don't worry.
The letter was so strange for me.
Oh, don't worry. My daughter.
My daughter has brown eyes.
Thank you. So, my dears, when we use present simple to talk about the general truths, is when we are talking about something that you can't change. Una verdad. Es algo que tú no puedes cambiar. It's a fact. Okay? Es un hecho. So, it's something that you can change. It's a truth. So, for example, people need food. What happens if we don't have food? Well, we are going to die. Of course, this is true. We need food. What kind of food? Well, you can decide. But we need to eat in order to live. It snows in winter here. I mean, there are some places in the world, not especially here, but there are some places where you have snow in winter. Snow is a synonym of winter. Okay, for example, 2 and 2 make 4. That's something that you will never change. So as you can see in all of these examples, general truths, something that you can't change, something that it is a fact. Okay? A fact. Okay, my dears, for example, this one, water boils at, how do you say this number? At what? What is this number?
100.
100, very good. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. El agua, what is the meaning of this word? Boils. What do you imagine? Look at the picture. Hierve. Okay, very good. So, el agua hierve a 100 grados centígrados. That's a fact, that's something, a real truth, something that you can't change. Questions up to this point? So, the first use to talk about what? What was the first use of present simple? Who can tell me? From habits. Perfect, to talk about habits. And the second one to talk about general truths, like facts. Let's continue. We have another use of present simple. We use it to talk about permanent situations. Okay? So we are going to read it. Let's go with Daniel. Baby, can you please help me reading this slide?
Yes. Permanent situation. We use present simple for a situation that we think is made.
It's more or less.
Permanent. Yes, less permanent on a fact that is true for a long time. State.
Thank you. So, my dears, we use present simple when we are talking about something that we think is more or less permanent. Like, what is the meaning of more or less? Who knows? More or less. So, more or less like más o menos, okay? Más o menos. We use it to talk about things that we think is more or less permanent, cosas que más o menos creemos permanentes. Or we can use it to talk about facts that are true for a long time. Algo que fue verdad o es verdad durante mucho tiempo. So here we have an example. I work in an office. This is something true. This is something permanent. And this is something that has been happening for a long time. I work in an office. Like in your case, I study at GCA. Yo estudio en el GCA. Eso está pasando, ha venido pasando, lo estás viviendo ahorita, va a ser así por lo menos durante un año. Es algo permanente por lo menos durante este año. I study at GCA. We are going to check some other examples. So, Danny, go ahead. Can you please help me reading the examples?
Yes. Where do you live?
Live. Where do you live?
What do you live? She works in a bank. I don't like mushrooms. I like in an apartment near the center of town. I prefer coffee to the tea.
Okay. Danny, be careful with the pronunciation of this word, live, okay? Because if you say life, es vida. I live, estás diciendo como yo vida. No, yo vivo. I live. Okay, so where do you live? What can you see here, guys? What is this? Look at the question. What am I using here? I have a do, so keep it in mind. She works in a bank, that is something almost permanently. I don't like mushrooms. This is something, of course, in present simple, guys, because you are talking about your likes and your dislikes. This is not changing, because if you don't like mushrooms, you will never like it. Do you know what is the meaning of mushrooms? What is that? What is a mushroom? Champiñones, very good. I live in an apartment, I prefer coffee to tea, and so on. So, to talk about permanent situations. Don't forget, babies, first use to talk about habits. The second one, what was the second one? The second use of present simple?
General truth.
A general truth, very good. And the next one to talk about permanent situations. Questions up to this point, my dears? Yes, no?
No, miss.
Great. Let's continue then. We have another use, guys, and this is to talk about short actions now. If you realize, we are talking about things that happen just now, cosas que pasan ahorita, en el presente. So, of course, we are going to use it to talk about short actions. Majo Vélez, can you please help me reading this slide, baby?
Yeah, sure. Short actions now. We can also use the present simple for short actions that are happening now. The actions are so short that they are finished almost no soon as you say the sentence. It is often used with verbs commentarily.
Thank you. So, guys, when you use present simple to talk about short actions now, you are talking about things that are like in progress, a cosas que están como en progreso, pero que son tan rápidas, que pasan tan rápido, que la acción casi que inicia y termina en el mismo momento. So, one example, one clear example is when you are hearing sports commentaries. So, let's check the example. He takes the ball, he runs down the wing, and he scores. No puedes decir, él está tomando el balón, porque sí, está pasando ahorita, pero es que en el momento en el que toma el balón posiblemente ya se lo lanzó al compañero y ya no lo tiene más. Can you see? So that's the reason why you use it with present simple, because the action begins and finishes really, really fast. So he takes the ball, he do this, he goes to the classroom, he sits down, and so on. Okay? Short actions now. Questions up to this point, babies? Okay, perfect. Let's continue then. There is another way to use present simple, that is to talk about future, but we are going to avoid this use by now. Vamos a dejar este uso por el momento. Cuando hablemos de futuro, les explico cómo usarlo para futuro. By now, let's keep in mind just the present things. So, give me a moment. Now, let's talk about how to form the present simple. ¿Cómo lo armamos, profe? ¿Cómo lo usamos? Because, yes, it is amazing. I know that I can use it to talk about habits, to talk about truths, to talk about short actions, and so on. But how can you do it? How are you going to do it? Let's check. The first one that we are going to check is affirmative, okay? Affirmative sentences. Natalia, can you please help me reading this part, baby?
Okay. In affirmative sentences, most regular verbs use the
Base.
form except with he, she, and it, which ends in s.
Thank you. So, my dears, the base form is the normal verb. The verb without conjugation, the verb without decorations, the normal verb, the base form, the infinitive way, okay? Play, run, write, sing, el verbo común y corriente. Ustedes en presente simple utilizan el verbo común y corriente, okay? You don't have to add, you don't have to do nothing. You just have to put the verb. But, of course, we have an exception with he, she, and it. This is the third person of English. This is the weird ones. Ellos son los que quieren llamar la atención, he, she, it, los que quieren ser diferentes, los que siempre quieren imponer sus reglas. So, with he, she, it, you have to add a final S. Con todo utilizas el verbo normal, menos cuando tienes he, she o it. Cuando los tienes a ellos, tienes que agregar una S al final del verbo. So, my dears, we are going to check some examples. In the case of the normal, the regular verbs, for example, you can say I play. Can you see the normal verb? You run, we ride, they sing. But what happens when you have he, she, it? ¿Qué pasa cuando tienes he, she, it? Instead of say I play, you have to say he plays. Can you see? Final S. Tenemos una S final. She runs. It rides. And I think that this is one of the most important things of present simple. Esto es algo de lo más importante, amores, porque muchas veces nos equivocamos porque se nos olvida que he, she, it son diferentes y que he, she, it tienen sus propias reglas. En el caso del presente simple, la regla es que le vas a poner una S al final del verbo. Questions up to this point? Okay, so now that you know that the different ones, the freak ones, are he, she, and it, you should know something else, because there are some cases where you don't have to put an S but an ES. Hay casos en los que no tienes que poner solo una S, sino de pronto una ES dependiendo del verbo, pero solo con he, she, and it en forma afirmativa. Esto es solo para afirmativo. So let's check. We are going to check these special rules, the ones that we have here. So, Pachito, baby, can you please help me reading the first part? Spelling of the verb plus S.
Okay. Spelling of the verb plus S. Most of the verbs add S to the base from the verb. Wants, eats, helps, drives.
Thank you. So, as we were talking, most of the verbs just put an S. Okay? Wants, eats, helps, drive. What is the meaning of want? I want a hamburger.
Querer.
Querer. She wants a hamburger. It's exactly the same meaning. La S no te va a cambiar el significado. I want and she wants is exactly the same. Eats, of course, you know what is the meaning of eat, help, and drive. What is the meaning of drive?
Conducir.
Conducir. So, I drive, she drives. Can you see? It's exactly the same. Let's continue. You know that with most of the verbs it's just an S. But let's check the next part. Continue, Pachito. At.
Add S to the verbs that end in s, sh, and x. And ¿qué es eso?
Okay, and O.
And O.
Okay, the idea.
Says, watches, fixes, goes.
Okay, the idea wasn't to say like shh. No, that was amazing. But with double S, with SH, with CH, and X or O. Take in your notes this clue. Tengan en cuenta, esto es súper importante, amores. Si en presente simple encuentras algún verbo que termine en doble S, en SH, en CH, en X o en O, no le puedes agregar solamente una S, le tienes que agregar una ES. ¿Listo? Piénsenlo así, los que les tengan H al final y los que tengan dobles S al final. ¿Listo? La O. So, for example, kiss. What is the meaning of kiss?
Beso.
O en este caso, como es verbo, besar. So, I may kiss you. No, I kiss you. She kisses you. Es lo mismo. Yo te besé, ella te besó, besar. ¿Ok? Wash. What is the meaning of wash?
Lavar.
Lavar. So, wash. I wash the dishes. She washes the dishes. Yo lavo los platos, ella lava los platos. Exactly the same. Watch. I watch TV. He watches TV. Fix.
Es ver.
Ver. Very good. Fix. I fix my car. She fixes her car.
Arreglar.
Arreglar. Perfect. Go. Well, I go to the cinema. She goes to the cinema. Ir. Exactly the same. And this one. Do. I do my homework. She does her homework. Yeah. Very good. So can you see, babies? If you have, keep it in mind. Verbs ending with double S, SH, CH, X, and O, you have to add ES. No me agregan solo una S, sino la ES. Let's continue with the next part. Pachito, attack. Verbs.
Okay. Verbs that end in a constant Y. Change the Y to eyes. Oh, yeah. Garries, flies, worries, tries.
Okay, thank you. Usually, my dears, when you have verbs that finish in a consonant, but this consonant, how do you say this one? This letter? Pachito, you just say it. How do you say this letter?
Why?
Why? Very good, why. When you have a verb that ends in Y, usually, not always, but usually you have to change that Y to IES. Recuerden que usualmente si lo termina en Y, cambian esa Y, me la borran, la eliminan, la mandan a dormir y me ponen IES. Lo que hacen es transformarla por una IE y pues agregan ES. ¿Listo? Example. Carries. Flies. So I fly, the bird flies. Of course I can fly, but the bird can't. Worries. Tries. I try to do it, he tries to do it. Okay? But as I was telling you, this is like in general, the general rule, but there are some exceptions. And I am going to ask you to learn to memorize these 4 exceptions. So there are some verbs that even when they finish in Y, you just have to put S, and that's it. Hay algunos verbos excepción que aunque terminan con tu Y, no les tienes que cambiar la I, ponerle S, no, solamente les pones una S. Les voy a pedir que se los memoricen. Son solo 4 en este caso. Buy. What is the meaning of buy? I buy a new car. She buys a new car. Comprar. Says or say. What is the meaning of say?
Decir.
Play. What is the meaning of play? Easy peasy. Jugar. Enjoy. Disfrutar. So I am going to ask you guys, put it in beautiful colors, write exceptions for the final S, and keep it in mind. Memorize these. Recuerden estas excepciones. Buy, say, play, enjoy goes only with final S, and that's it. You don't have to put anything else. Okay? So we have exceptions. This one, and this one. Solamente con he, she, it en presente simple, en afirmativo, en ninguno, ni en negativo, ni en preguntas, ni en nada, solo en afirmativo. Babies, questions up to this point? Yes, no, so. Okay. As you don't have questions, let's continue with the next part. Look at this. In positive sentences, affirmative sentences, as I was telling you, you just have the subject, for example, I, you, we, and they, and the verb with its base form, work. Or you can say he, she, it works. Don't forget that the final S is just for he, she, it because they are different. They want to call attention. So I work here, you work here, she works here. That's the difference. That's in affirmative. What happened with negative sentences? Let's talk about it. Oh God. Negative sentences. Can you see that now I have something here that says auxiliary verb? The auxiliaries. Can you see? Los verbos auxiliares. In present simple, we have 2 auxiliary verbs. Do and does. Tenemos el do y tenemos el does. So, we are going to check. With I, you, we, and they, the normal ones, you use do. With he, she, and it, as they are different, you use does. Keep it in mind. Tenemos auxiliares, 2 que los tienen que memorizar, amores, porque son para preguntas y para oraciones negativas. ¿Cuáles son tus auxiliares? Do y does. Para todo usas do, menos para nuestros bebés diferentes. he, she, it. In that case, you use that. Does, sorry. But what happened with the verb? I have a question. Can you see any change between this verb and this verb? ¿Tengo algún cambio entre los dos verbos que están ahí? Or the verbs are exactly the same? What do you think? Tell me. Work and work. Can you see any difference between work and work? Yes or no? ¿Ven alguna diferencia entre este work de acá y este work de acá? ¿O no?
No.
No. You don't have to put final S, you don't have to put anything. Ahí no ponen ya nada. El verbo es normal, el verbo es así, común y corriente, como tú te lo sabes. ¿Por qué no le pones nada? Pues porque tienes un auxiliar. Y mientras tú tengas un auxiliar, no solo en este tiempo verbal, sino en cualquier tiempo verbal, mientras tú tengas un auxiliar, el verbo va a estar normalito. Okay? So, if you use I do not work, I don't work, or if you say he does not work, he doesn't work, you have an auxiliar. That's the reason why the verb is in the normal way, in its base form. So, for negative, you have to use don't and doesn't. Auxiliares, do y does. Recuerden, does for he, she, it. This is the contracted form. Esta es la forma contraída, pero significa lo mismo. Puedes usar do not or don't. Does not or doesn't. It's the same. So, questions up to this point? Yes or no? Okay. And finally, babies, to talk about questions. How do you make questions? You just have to switch. Solo tienen que cambiar. Entonces, en lugar de poner el sujeto primero, ustedes saben que usualmente es sujeto, verbo, complemento en una oración. But instead of putting subject, verb, and complement, what you have to do is to switch. Lo primero que pones es tu auxiliar. So, do you like hamburgers? Does she enjoy the park? ¿Sí ven? A menos que les aparezca una pregunta con WH. For example, this one, where? What is the meaning of where?
¿Dónde?
¿Dónde? There is another WH questions. For example, what? What is the meaning of what? What? What is the meaning of what? ¿Qué significa what?
¿Qué?
What about who? What is the meaning of who?
¿Quién?
¿Quién? What is the meaning of why?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué? Very good. If you have those kind of questions, those are going to be always at the very beginning. Siempre que tengas algo con WH, una pregunta así, va a ir al principio, principio, principio y después sí tu auxiliar. But if you don't have it, you just have to use the auxiliar, the verb, and the complement. So, do you watch TV? Does she cook? Can you see? Para hacer preguntas no me van a poner she does cook. No, al revés. Does she cook? She cooks. Yes, she cooks. Can you see? So, questions up to this point, babies? Yes or no? No. Okay. Let's continue. Now, babies, what happened with the verb to be? What is the meaning of the verb? How do you use the verb to be? To talk about what? What is the translation of to be? Ser o? Ser o qué? No, you don't remember verb to be? So, you use verb to be? Okay, you got it. Estar. So, the verb to be, ser o estar. So, we are going to check this slide. The verb to be is the most important verb in the English language, and that's true. It is an irregular verb in almost all of its forms. In the simple present tense, to be is conjugated as follows. So guys, verb to be, he, she, it, so I am, he, she, it is, or you, we, they are. Basically, when you have verb to be in present simple, you just have to use it in that way. Look at this. So, you use it to talk about an action or an event that take place in visually, yeah, frequently. But with the verb to be, guys, you are going to use it to talk about a general state. Van a hablar como un estado general de la persona. So, I am happy. She is helpful, like characteristics. Or, for example, general states, the age. We are going to check some examples. For age, I am 18. Place where you live, where are you from? I am from Beijing. Si se dan cuenta, estamos usando el verbo to be para hablar de cosas generales, estados generales, casi que permanentes. Nationality, I am Brazilian, I am Colombian. How are you? I'm fine, I'm very well, thanks. General states. Questions up to this point? If you don't have questions, we have to practice, but not today because the class is over. However, tomorrow we are going to begin our class by practicing a bit with present simple. We are going to solve some exercises and we are going to check if you have doubts about it in order to check, because I know that maybe in the theory it's a bit hard or maybe easy to understand, but when you use it is when you are going to discover if you understand or not, okay? So babies, that's all for today. Please check your notes and please come ready for the practice time. Questions, my dear? Something to say?